Hello, I've got my friends here with me. Yeah, they only come round for Christmas and they said they'd back me doing this video, so I was like, all right then. He looks like someone very famous. It's not really him. I just thought I'd clear that up. So anyway, this video is about me and my timeline and how all the crap that has been made up about me can't be true. Yeah, let's get into this. So I've done a beautiful timeline, which is on an Excel spreadsheet because I couldn't find another app to do what I wanted it to do. So sorry about that. I've just chucked it together on there, but you should still be able to see that there's been a huge amount of people that have been a part of my life that will be able to tell you that this didn't happen. So apparently when I was 12, according to the rumour maker-uppers, I was groomed while I was at school. Not while I was at school, but apparently it was on the train going from Wellingborough to London. I used to get the train to go and see my dad, who lived in London. And apparently in that time of leaving Wellingborough and going to London, that's when I was groomed multiple times and just never said anything. Apparently that's what I'm like. I just don't, all this stuff happens to me and I just don't say anything. That's not true. Not true at all. So anyway, I used to get dropped off by my mum's partner, Dave, and also dropped off by my boyfriend, Dan, sometimes. And at the other end, I was always picked up by my dad. And my dad always knew what train I was getting. And he always used to know when I was late or if I'd switch trains, you know, because sometimes that happens. But the trains used to be very good. They were very rarely late, which I think is good for National Rail. And I kept in contact with everyone. I even had to contact my mum to let her know that I was there. So that definitely didn't happen. But apparently, according to the rumour maker-uppers, this is when it all started, my life of crime. So apparently I got into prostitution, I was doing heroin, I was robbing people's houses and stealing people's personal belongings, fraud, beating up OAPs and stealing their government pension. I mean, that must have been heroin talking if I'd ever done that. But I definitely haven't done that. During this time, from 12 until 17 years old, I mean, it couldn't have been before, but let's just start from 12 because that's when I used to, I think, get the train. I was at school. I started work at Cuts and Co's. I was living with my mum and her partner. I was with my partner Dan at 14 years old. I was in contact regularly with my sister and my dad. I was friends with a niece and all of our other friends that we used to hang around with at school and all of our friends that we used to hang around with outside of school, which was pretty much every day. And also my best friend was Kirsty, and I was also friends with Carly and many other people. So yeah, that's a huge amount of people there that can tell you that that never happened, and they would be the ones that would be able to tell you that that didn't happen. When I used to work at Cuts and Co's, we used to have pretty much the majority of the people that used to come in were elderly ladies to come and have their sets done and things like that, and none of them were ever harmed and none of them will ever be harmed. I've never been dangerous and I've never stolen from anybody, and I really hope that the ladies at Cuts and Co's that I work with, if they had have heard anything like that, would be telling you that no, she's not like that and that never happened. Also, same goes to my friends. With my friends, they should all be telling you that that never happened, that couldn't have done, because she was with us. So yeah. So if it didn't happen then, when did it happen? Well, let's move on, shall we? So let's go to 18 years old. 18 years old, I had a joint birthday party with my partner Dan. About 50 to 70 people came, I can't remember which. All of Dan's family, Dan's work colleagues, all of Dan's friends from Merchester, my friends, my school friends, my work colleagues, I believe, came, and my family came. A huge amount of people there, and apparently by 18 years old, I'd done it all. I'd lived my life of crime, and I'd also been homeless as well at some point. At this point, I've been with Dan for 4.5 years, and yeah. Now, what really does upset me is that, yeah, I can't believe that these things have been made up, because it's not possible. And, you know, for my school friends to have been there at their 18th birthday party and for them to, you know, sit there and go, oh yeah, well, we believe all this crap. And it's just like, well, It's not possible. You were there, and if you ever thought that of me, then why did you come? I don't know. For everybody on this list that has shown people that they do believe all the crap that has been made up about me, I can only guess that you believe that it happened after I didn't know you, which is why I've done this timeline. So, well, it's not really a timeline, which is why I've done this. Well, it is a timeline. Yeah, which is why I've done this, so you can see that it's not possible, because I've always had people in my life. Now, we'll move on, because it couldn't have happened when I was 18 or before then. So when did it happen? Let's go from 19, shall we? Let's go from 19 up until 22, so that's up to 2009. So, as you can see, it couldn't have happened then, whatever it is that they're saying. So if I wasn't a gang member before, been groomed, been raped, been sexually abused, had a baby, been homeless, done more fraud, or had started fraud, stealing, heroin, prostitution, the lot. If I didn't do it before then apparently I must have done it around this time. So yeah, I was with Terry. This is where they're saying that I got pregnant and had the first baby that I've just left with some irresponsible, abusive drug dealer. I was with Terry. And during the time that I was with Terry, I did a little bit of work at the Carpenter's Arms. I was working at New Look. I was at college doing beauty therapy. I was seeing my mum, my dad and my sister regularly. I was friends with Kirsty, Carly, Emma and Sophie, and friends with Tim, Ricky, Ben, James, all of my friends from work, and also a little bit of that time. Yeah, well, I think that's about it. Yeah, and yeah, so apparently, so I'm just reading all the stuff that I wrote. So yeah, apparently while I was with Terry, this is when I did all these things. They're not sure. For some reason, they're not sure. They can't pinpoint it. So they're just saying it definitely happened, but it happened somewhere. And I'm saying, well, it's not possible. But apparently, if I'd have got pregnant with the gang member, it would be in its teens. And with it being 16, with it being 13, 14, 15 or 16 or 17 years old, all of that time I was with either Dan or I was with Terry. Majority of that time I was with Terry. And was friends with lots of people. So it couldn't have happened then. And all of these people should be able to confirm that. Again, the only reason why I think that they're not is because they believe it might have happened after I was with them. So if it didn't happen then, when did it happen? Let's move on, shall we? So I'm trying not to get upset. Because on the last video I did about this, I started crying. I was going, why are you not telling these people that it's not possible? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I want to do that, but I'm not going to. So anyway, after Terry, Gary moved in because we lived in a shared house, and I was friends with Gary's friends, and that was Alex and Jodie and all of our other friends, well, all of the other people that we hung around with, and I was pretty much with them every weekend for about a year, apart from going out with Kirsty, Carly, Emma and Sophie sometimes was there, and apart from going out with Tim, Ricky and all of my other friends from work. I was also with Nick as well. If I'd had the baby in 2010, the years might be out with regards to some of where I've stuck some of my friends, but my employment is all intact. I just can't remember. It might be just like a year or two out, but yeah, it is pretty much correct. But if I'd had the baby around then, I probably would have been with Nick, or I would have been with somebody else. But I certainly was friends with Gary, Jodie and Alex, Tim, Ricky, and all my friends from Wickes, And I was still friends with Kirsty, Carly and Sophie and Emma. Well, so Sophie I used to know from school, but she became really good friends with Kirsty and Carly, and she's come around my house. I can't really say much more than that. She doesn't know me very well, but she certainly did turn up to my house when we used to all got together, and we all used to get together for birthdays. So, you know. But anyway, the child would be about 12 years old if I'd had it then. I couldn't have had it then. And there are all those people that can confirm that. With regards to, you know, prostitution, heroin, stealing, fraud and all this, I was working at Wicks and I never did that and I never would. But the fact that you've said that and you've made people question who I am, I think that's awful. Again, for everybody that I used to hang around with at this time, I can only imagine that they believe that all the things that they've heard happened after I knew them, because they certainly couldn't have happened before. So when did they happen? I don't know. Well, I do know they'd never happened. It never happened. None of this happened. So right, let's move on. So after that, I lived in a flat by myself and I started seeing a guy called John, and I was still friends with Kirsty, Carly, Emma. Kirsty and Carly I was closest to, and then, you know, Emma and Sophie turned up sometimes. I was still going out with all my friends from work. And I was still working full time at Wicks. So yeah, the baby would have been about 13 if I'd had it then. I couldn't have gone pregnant because I was always at work. Did I say that right? I couldn't have got pregnant, so I'm a little bit ill. I couldn't have got pregnant because I was at work and I was working full time and I was there. I very rarely miss work. There was one year where I did miss a couple of days, but that's it. Not enough to say, oh, was she pregnant in that time? So it couldn't have happened then. And as for living a life of crime and doing all the things that you've made out that I've done, I never did those things. I had access to people's personal details. Nothing ever happened and nothing would ever happen because I've never done that and I'm not like that. But anyway, let's move on, shall we? Right, so after I left, yeah, so I was still working at I was still working at Wicks. Yeah, we'll move on, shall we? So after that, sorry. So after that, I moved out of my flat and I lived with my mum and dad. I mean, my mum and her partner, Dave. And I was still working at Wicks and I got with Chris. Apparently, if I'd had the child there, it would have been probably about 11. I couldn't have got pregnant while I was with Chris and while I was living with my mum and her partner. And they should all be able to confirm that. Also, I was still friends at that point with Tim and Ricky and I was seeing them. Not every week, but I was seeing them enough for them to be able to confirm that I wasn't pregnant. Again, with all these people, I'm assuming that the reason why they're not saying anything is because they believe it happened after I knew them or after we were friends. But it didn't. It never happened. According to the rumour maker-uppers, I was in the army. I wasn't in the army. And they think that this might have happened. I don't know, I think that's a rumour. They keep turning up with all these people in army gear and I don't understand. Apparently this happened when I finished working at Wicks. Now when I finished Wicks and finished with Chris, I was living with my mum and her partner, and I also moved in with my sister and I was there every day, and they will be able to tell you that. I never went into the army. I've never been in the army. It's not possible that I could have done that. I've got payroll to back me up and confirm that, and I've got people that I've spent every day with that can confirm that. Again, the reason why they're probably not saying anything is because they believe it happened after, but it there is no after. That's up until 2012, and then I went to Australia. So when did all these things happen then? They never happened. It's not possible. As you can see on this beautiful chart that I've done, it's not it's not possible. They're saying it is pretty. Yeah, it's not possible that any of this could have happened, that I could have lived the life that you're saying, or that people are saying that I've lived. I've always had a home, so I've never been homeless. Prostitution and heroin, I've never needed to do. I've never needed to do prostitution. I mean, you know, people don't say I've not needed to do heroin, but I've never touched that. I've never been around anybody that has ever done it in the room with me, and I don't want to be. Apparently that's not good enough. But yeah, but I've said this all along. It's not possible for me to have lived the life that I have, that they're saying that I have lived. Now, I did get really upset on the last video that I did, because there's a huge amount of people here. There's probably about 200 people on this timeline that could be confirming that I am who I say that I am, and that I am telling the truth, and that it's not possible that I could have lived this life because I was with them, and because they were there, they saw me, they knew who I was with and who I spent my time with. I just want to say to all these people, I've done this so you can see that I'm telling the truth. And I think you're the people that mean the most to me, because you're the ones that have been there. You're the ones that have been my friends. And people that I've worked with. And I really hope that all of you can sit there and say that I am telling the truth, that this timeline is correct. It may be out just like a year or two, and I apologise for that with regards to friends, but my employment and my partners are correct. They're one after the other. With regards to my friends, there might be a bit out, so I apologise for that. But regardless of whether they're out, I've always had somebody there. There have never been any gaps where nobody's been in my life, that I've not seen somebody every week. So yeah, I really, really hope that all these people can say that if they have heard anything about all of this crap that has been made up about me, that they can say that it never happened. It never happened, certainly while I was with them, and that I'm telling the truth. What has really upset me is that not all of the people on this list, but a huge amount of you have heard this crap and have shown me that you've heard it, and are showing lots of other people that you believe it. You're showing lots of other people that it is possible, that it is true. When you've been in my life and you've been there, and people know that we've been friends, but you're showing them that it's possible that I am this type of person. And I've never stolen from any of you. I've been in most of your homes with your family. I've never stolen. I've never hurt anybody. Whenever we've got an argument or you've upset me, I've never had anyone hurt you. But this is what's been made up, and this is the person that they've made me out to be. I'm not trusted anywhere with people's personal belongings. I'm antagonised every day because they believe I'm connected to dangerous people that I've been connected to since I've been at school. And apparently the way I deal with things is to have people killed. Well, I'm sorry, why are all of you still alive? At some point or another, I think there's not one person on here that hasn't pissed me off. I'm just being honest. I'm not I love every, you know, I love you all dearly, but you know, and I'm sure I probably pissed you off as well, but you know, there's not one person on this list where we haven't had a little bit of a to-do. There's not one. And how has that been dealt with? It's just been, it's not been dealt with. We've sorted it out, or I've either stopped talking to you. Nothing's happened to you. But the fact that they're saying that I'm like that, I mean, well, why have you all still got your legs? Why are you all still alive if I'm a murderer? If I have people murdered for the smallest of things, that's what I don't get. But anyway, so yeah, it would really, really mean a lot to me if instead of you all sitting there showing people that you believe this crap, if you can either say you don't know, or you do know and that I'm telling the truth because you know me well enough and you know that what I've put on that chart is correct. Somewhat. That would really help, because I'm sitting here by myself, and you know, not that I'm not asking any of you to be friends with me, but you are the only people that can be telling all these other people that I am telling the truth, because they're not listening to me. The people that hurt me every day, that are mad, that are paranoid, that think that I'm a liar, don't believe what I'm saying, and I'm telling the truth. And I need people to back me, including my family. My family are not even doing it, but I don't know. Anyway, I can only put these things out there to the universe, and hopefully something will happen, or hopefully people will back off from me. But yeah, I hope you're all well, and thank you.